speaker is Nancy. So why? Oh, so anyway, her real name isn't Nancy. Isn't Nancy. It's Ignatia. Ignatia. So when I Googled it, this is what I got. She can touch her nose with her tongue. She had her DNA just tested, and she's 75% Southern European, Italian, Greek, 15% Turkish and Armenian, 10% Middle Eastern, Saudi Arabian, and Israeli. Wow, so she's complex. Okay, Nancy, here you go. Share your fuck up.
So I know this is going to be a question, so I'm going to get it out of the way right now. So I've got this really complicated name, Nancy Crimi Lamanna, made more complicated by the fact that it's actually Ignatia Crimi Lamanna. I am the co-chief creative officer of FCB Toronto. My taller, better-looking half is one of your teachers here, Jeff Hiltz. I was hoping to see him. Where is he? Oh, he's in the other room, so I hope he heard me say that. So today I'm going to talk to you a bit about how I fucked up my career, but still managed to get ahead. And hopefully you will learn something from my mistakes. So, this is me. Yeah, really humiliating. I was a late bloomer. I've been a late bloomer my whole life. I didn't get my period till I was 15. I can't believe I'm telling everyone this. I didn't get boobs, luckily they came in, or an ass until I was about 18. True story. Okay. In fact, this is a picture of me in Sicily on a family trip to Sicily. I am 15. This is the moment in time I got my period. With all of my Italian relatives who proceeded to congratulate me on becoming a woman. It was incredibly humiliating, but it's made a good story. Unfortunately, I've also been a late bloomer in my career. And in fact, this is something I could actually control. It wasn't up to Mother Nature. But I made some mistakes along the way, and that's what I want to talk to you about. So, that's Carlos, by the way, right there. So some of my male counterparts made it to the top much sooner than I did. And there's Jeff, there's my taller, better-looking half. So I became co-chief creative officer with Jeff about 3 years ago. Yay for me, that was an amazing moment in time, except that my goal was to be there easily about 10 years earlier than that. Many of the people I knew and grew up in the industry with, like Carlos here, we're both here, we're at McLaren McCann, both of us were at McLaren McCann in the same creative department. This is a creative offsite. He got there a lot sooner than I did because he made some better choices. We're both making really bad choices here, but from a business perspective, Carlos made some better choices. You puked that night.
On myself.
Fuck up. On himself, it was fine. So, what happened? Why did it take me that much longer to get there? So, fuck up number one is getting pregnant twice. This is just a reality. I lost about 4 years here. 2 years for mat leave and 2 years for my career to recover. And I mean, the learning here isn't really on my part. The learning really is for our industry and every industry is that we need to get better at transitioning people back from parental leave so that they don't lose that much time. So that's 4 years, but that really doesn't account for all the time I lost. So what happened? So let's talk about some of the choices I make, some of the poor choices I made. I went for the money. So I was at a good agency that was doing good work. Stephen was there. And I got approached by an agency that was offering a lot more money. And I thought I deserved that money, even though I hadn't really improved my book yet. I hadn't really gotten to the point where I probably deserved that money, but somehow I felt like I deserved that money. And so I left for the money. But what I didn't understand, because I was too young to, is that there are agencies out there that are willing to pay you what we call danger pay. And what that means is it's an agency that it doesn't really believe in great work, but will pay you to do bad work, which is great for a while, but that's really short-term gain. Because what happens is you're not going to get any great book for your reel, you're not going to get, your portfolio is not going to get any better, and you're going to get trapped by this amount of money that you make. And you won't be able to go to a good agency because you're making too much money. And you don't have the book to support it. And so don't fall for this trap. I fell for it, and it took me a while to recover from it. And you might have to take a pay cut to get to that better agency that's going to give you that better work. Trust me, just do great work, the money will come. So that's the lesson there. I ran from something instead of running to something. So I was at McLaren, same creative department, many, many years ago. And I happened to be working with a partner that was not working out. We just weren't gelling. He was mute. And so it just wasn't working. And instead of going to my creative director and having that hard conversation, what I chose to do instead is leave a good agency for a not so good agency just to escape the bad partner. And so the lesson here is, as you get more senior, really anytime, you need to be able to have those conversations. Don't avoid conflict. The conversations are rarely as hard as you think they are going to be, and there almost always is a solution. So don't assume you can't have that conversation with your boss about something that isn't working. If they want to keep you, they will find a way to keep you and help you resolve that. Third fuck up is I stayed too long. So I worked at Cassette, not today's Cassette, a really bad version of Cassette, many years ago. And I knew almost immediately that I hated it and that it wasn't for me. There was very poor creative leadership. I wasn't doing good work. I wasn't working on a great client, and the culture was terrible. I hated the culture. It just didn't fit me. But in fact, Carlos went there and stayed 1 day. I stayed 4 years. And that was a mistake because my career stalled. What happened is it really eroded my self-confidence. I wasn't working on great clients. I wasn't doing great work. And I didn't have anything to show for those 4 years. So the lesson here is you make sure you're getting one great piece for your book every year. If you're not, take a look at where you are and decide if that's maybe the wrong or right place for you based on that. But you need to be really making sure you're doing good work every year or learning every single year and that you're progressing somehow. If you are not, you need to reevaluate what's happening at the agency and whether that's the place you need to be. Zach's looking at me. Zach works for me. He may be leaving. I'm kidding. The last fuck up is that I didn't treat myself as a business, and you need to. I didn't have a plan, and I think this fuck up is kind of like threads all the fuck ups together, because I didn't have a plan. I hadn't kind of figured out where I wanted to head and what the plan was for me to get there. I thought if I, kept my head down and worked really hard, that somehow I would get noticed and I would get rewarded and I would succeed. It doesn't work that way. The onus of your success is on you. And so you need to put a plan together. You need to figure out where you want to be and how you're going to get there. Once I did that, I figured out what the gap was and what I needed to do to get to that next step and to get to that creative leadership role that I wanted to get at. And that's how I ended up at BBDO. Because what I'd figured out is that while I had made a lot of fuck-ups, I had a lot of strengths. Those strengths were, I was really great on big businesses, big complex businesses. I could run clients really well. I was great at new business. I could mentor. And I had done good work, but if I was honest with myself, I hadn't done great work yet. And for me to become a creative thought leader and a creative leader, that was the gap that I needed to fill. I needed to do great, iconic work. And that's why I went to BBDO, because that's what they were all about, the work, the work, the work. And I spent 4 years there, and that helped me. That was the launching pad for me being able to finally get to that creative leadership role I wanted to get to. The last lesson here was that even though you love a place, and I loved it there, and I loved working with Carlos, there comes a point in time where you have to evaluate if that place is going to be able to get you to where you want to go. And that's the reason I left, because even though I loved it there, I had to force myself to leave. It's like pushing myself out of the nest because I knew I was never going to be the CCO of BBDO. And so I needed to find a place that could allow me to get there. And that's how I ended up at FCB Toronto with Jeff, and I'm very happy I did. So just a couple of questions to ask yourself. If you're considering a move or you're looking for a job, a couple of questions to ask yourself before you make that leap. Where do you want to end up, and does this help you get there? And that's not the big stuff that, these are little incremental leaps, but like, what is that next step for you, big or small? And does this place help you get to that next step? Make sure you ask yourself that question. Have you done your homework? Have you found out what you're going to be working on, who you're going to be working with, what globally the network believes? It's important. It's important that not just the office, if it is a global network, it's important that not just the Toronto office is talking about doing great work, but the network is talking about great work, because if they're not, you're not going to do great work. It's just the way it works. It has to come from the top down. It's the same at every company. So do your homework. Do their goals match your own? If you want to win 20 awards and the agency doesn't believe in awards and doesn't invest in entering awards, you're not going to win those awards unless you're willing to put $10,000 up of your own money to enter. So make sure that agency matches your goals and ask those questions. Finally, does everyone at the agency share the same vision? So I really, as you're considering going to a place, I really encourage you to talk to more than one person at the agency, 2, 3 people, as many people as you can, and make sure they are saying the same thing. Because what you want to do is make sure that they have the same vision across, the whole agency, because if each person is saying something different, you've got a very schizophrenic agency, and again, it might be difficult for you to be successful. And that's everything. Thank you.
Okay, questions? There's gotta be some.
Vanessa? I think it was kind of a downward spiral. As I lost confidence in my abilities as a writer, I felt I couldn't get a better job. I also had a baby there, so I felt like, and I don't know, I felt like I couldn't leave because somehow if I had a baby that it wouldn't be fair to the next agency. And so there were just a bunch of things that kind of came together to create this kind of terrible choice for me in the end. It was a great place, it just wasn't a great place for me. Any other questions?
I'm a recruiter, so I hear a lot of these stories.
Yeah.
What kind of snapped you out of it? What was the catalyst?
Anger. Yeah, no, it is. It's true. I was in McLaren for a very long time, 7 years, and I ran their biggest piece of business. It was worth $60 million. And still, I kept being passed up for a title and for a raise, and there was always a reason. Except I knew in my heart I was really good. And this is that moment where I thought if I'd kept my head down, and I finally realized, I came to this moment where I realized that if I keep my head down, no one is ever going to notice me. And so I got angry, and I walked in and I said, I am worth this because of these reasons. And I'm owed that. And they gave me what I asked for, and I left 3 months later. It was just a little too late. And in spite, Carlos saw this too. I did it, and this is where it comes back to treating yourself like a business. At BBDO, same thing. When I wanted something, I put a PowerPoint presentation together. I never made that mistake again. I basically put all my stats together, awards won, all the things that I had accomplished in my time there, and I went in with my PowerPoint presentation. I'm arming Zach. And I went, this is what I've accomplished. This is what I think I deserve. Let's talk about it. That's a tough one. I actually think we need kind of policy change. I think companies need to have transition plans for people coming back, because I don't think it's fair to put the onus on a mother to keep up with what's going on at the office and make sure that she's up to date. All I can say is have those conversations with your employers. Make sure there's a plan for your return. It's a tough one. I don't think we have any policies yet to get us there.
Some cultures will adapt.
Yeah.
We've had some women at John Street where they would start on 1 day a week or 2 days.
Yeah, that's a,
You know, 'cause
and the agency has to allow that.
that was Megan. She was on that. So
Yeah.
we had to like adapt. We wanted talent.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk anyone out of having kids because it's a great thing, but I just do think the conversation needs to be had.
Carlos.
Uh-oh.
It's funny that it's a great story, that presentation, and I think there's someone that told me a long time ago, and I'm really glad you touched upon it. And it's so easy to fall for the money.
Yeah.
It's so easy to take a shitty job, doing shitty tasks that no one else wants to do, and someone
Yeah, I think Jeff and I have dealt with this a few times in our department where people have come to us that we genuinely love and care for and want to see succeed, and they're leaving to go to a place. We always ask, where are you going? And they tell us, and it's, sometimes it's a great, when it's a great place, Carl's has stolen a few people from us. We're like, yeah, absolutely, that's a great move for you. When it's a bad place, we have a serious conversation about what that means for their career. Of course, the decision is theirs in the end, but we do want to save people from making those choices because it can set you back a fair amount of time. It took me a long time. Yeah. 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 I think my process it was just like making those mistakes and learning from each and every one of them, and then having a catalyst moment like that where I got angry and finally kind of went, I'm doing it the wrong way. And I can be angry at my employer, and of course they have some of that, but I'm most angry at myself because I haven't advocated for myself and I haven't treated myself like a business. And I think if we just took the same effort at our own careers as we do at doing a campaign or helping another business out, I think we'd be further ahead. Just even writing down where you want to head, where you want to be in like a year from now even. It doesn't have to be 20 years. It doesn't have to be that overwhelming. A year from now, where do you want to be? You want to have one great piece in your book. It can be that small. Then it's like you need to find the place that's going to help you get there and the right mentor to help you get there. I think if you just write down where you want to be year by year, what that goal is, it helps make the way there clearer. It helps you make choices. Oh, one more. Sorry.
Do you work for someone now, or
I'm at FCB. FCB Toronto.
throughout your journey, did you think maybe I should start my own thing? Build it up?
Yes? Jeff, what do you think? Start our own thing. Yes, of course. I mean that might be the next step. I think that's every year, every couple of years, I reevaluate where I want to be, what the goal is for that year. There's short-term goals, like, hey, I want 5 of my creative people to win awards this year, a Lion, whatever it is. Like, we set goals that way, shorter-term goals, but I also set my own long-term goals and what do I have to learn next? Like, I've done this, so what's next for me? So, of course, that one day that might be one of the things that I want to accomplish.
I was lucky enough to be there for it, but when you finally became CCO, how did that affect your perspective of the industry and our agency and just your career in general?
I think the first moment was like, holy shit, I'm terrified. And Jeff and I talk about ourselves as junior CCOs all the time. We're learning every single day. And so it was really frightening at first. And then I think the biggest thing, the biggest turn is you realize it's not about you anymore. It really isn't about myself or Jeff. It's about the agency. It's about the people we're trying to get to take over our jobs eventually. Susan Creedle, who's our global CCO, says this, and I love it. She's like, don't make your job look so horrible that someone doesn't want to take it over one day. And I think I took that to heart, right? Because we always complain, I'm so busy, I'm so tired, I'm working all the time, blah, blah, blah. But I love it. I also love it. It's amazing. I love seeing, a team have a kernel of an idea and then it blossomed to something incredible. There's just so much you get back. You put in a lot, but there's so much you get back as well. And so I think that's the thing I learned the most. It's like, it's not about me. It's not about Jeff anymore. It's about the collective and the team.
Okay, I'm going to do a little build. I ran an agency for 16 years, hired a lot of great people, and one of the things that we always look for or we're concerned about is the fit. Do these people fit in your culture? Do you want to hang out with them? Is there an equal respect amongst the department? Also, when people leave, the ones that made the good moves, we were like, amazing. You're going to this agency. That's a good move. You're moving up. But if they moved laterally, it got weird. And I think Nancy taught it that. So you're really making the right move. And we had a team that left. And Angus and I sat there and went, and I remember when they walked out, they quit, they're going to this new agency, and we were just like, why the fuck are they doing that? We couldn't see the logic. Like, they were good people. They were doing crazy good work. I think our culture was good. And then, like, just 2.5 months later, we kind of called them at their agency and went, so how's it going? And they went, we're going to come back. And they knew it. They realized it. But we were lucky enough to recognize that the talent we wanted to come back. And another thing is, I know you're going to look for the right cultures and look for the right places. A way to sort of control your own destiny sometimes is be selfish. Work for yourself. Work for your success, which is all those things will line up to that. Like, if you're not getting good work, you're selfish. If you're selfish, you're going to surround yourself with the greatest people. You're going to build a better team. You're going to go find those extra projects. And if that culture doesn't want you to do that, then you leave. Being selfish will build your book. It built my book. All these guys, I mean, Carlos and Nancy have done incredible work. And Alex, I mean, the one thing about these three people is that they're all super successful with these fuck-ups, which is also amazing. But at the same time, they were, maybe it took a while for you to be a little selfish. Carlos has been selfish from day one. So anyways, there's going to be a little break here, right? You want to have a